Let's get things situated right here. And then we will be ready to go. All right, you should be seeing a presentation deck in front of you right now. And I've got way too many monitors in front of me. But hey, I'm glad everyone was able to attend today. For those that aren't, we are going to be recording it and be dispersing it out tomorrow. Look for an email from Jennifer. And I hope that you find some of this beneficial for today. Just turning off the text there. So we're part of MARI, which is the Maintenance and Reliability Institute. And just to introduce myself, I'm A.W. Schultz, and I've been spending the last 2 decades working in the maintenance reliability. I have I've been supporting the front lines in the in many factories, been in the corporate role. I'm a global speaker, a TEDx speaker, and an author on many of the subjects that I talk about today. And I'm here today to talk about maintenance scheduling. And our goal at the end of this is to bring strength to a community and to build and share best practices in our industry. So if you look at, if one of the things I'll encourage you to do is go to our website, is learn maintenancereliability.com or learn MAR. And as we go through this, we're looking to build upon blogs and our podcasts that we have offered, along with different other venues to educate communities on work management practices and best practices in maintenance. So myself, A.W. Schultz, and myself, and I'm with Jennifer Ia, and she serves as Mari's social media manager, and she is an absolute expert on mediating technology and driving business growth through visibility. She's very good at identifying clients' needs, which I need help with, and delivering personal solutions to drive some of those results into that. She's brought in to help elevate Mari's digital presence and foster meaningful connections. And this isn't just what she sent me. This is what I believe that she contributes to it. And as we go through this, she is kind of somewhat the subject matter expert on many of these tools on integrating into knowledge and retention in maintenance reliability. So I want to start with a story. And a lot of the names have been changed, but I think many of you might relate to the situations. Please, in the chat, give a thumbs up if something you can relate to. But this is John. John Masterson started at the production report on his desk. He was staring at it. His face was grim. As a general manager of Westfield Manufacturing, he'd been watching the numbers trend downward for months. Today's reports show 3 major line stoppages in a single shift. The third straight consecutive day with multiple breakdowns. Through the windows of his office, he could see the factory floor where workers stood idle around disabled assembly line. The maintenance team huddled around a control panel, tools scattered all over the floor, and he just goes, "Not again," John muttered, raising up from his chair. On the factory floor, the maintenance supervisor, we'll call him Miguel, looked up with frustration in his eyes. "Same bearing as last week," Miguel explained. "We're patching it now, but honestly, the equipment needs a complete overhaul." "Why wasn't this caught during regular maintenance?" John asked. Miguel's expression shifted uncomfortably. We're always putting out fires, John. Preventive maintenance keeps pushed when production demands are high." That night, John stayed late, reviewing maintenance logs from the past year. The pattern was clear. Reactive repairs dominated the schedule, while preventive maintenance was consistently delayed or abbreviated. Equipment was being run to failure because that was not structured approach to the asset care. The next morning, John called a meeting with the maintenance team and key production supervisors. "We can't continue this," he said. "We're losing more time fixing breakdowns than we can spend preventing them." Together, they analyzed the failure patterns and equipment criticality. John insisted that they build a maintenance schedule that wouldn't be sacrificed to short-term production goals. They developed a tiered system of daily, weekly, monthly maintenance tasks with clear accountability and adequate allocations. Implementation wasn't easy. Production managers initially resisted the schedule's downtime, but John stood firm. "This isn't optional," he told them. "We're investing time now to save time later." 3 months later, the results spoke for themselves. Unplanned downtime had decreased by 62%. Production rates stabilized, then improved. The maintenance team, no longer consistently reacting to emergencies, had time to focus on equipment optimization. Jumping forward, during a quarterly review meeting, John looked around his team with pride. "This wasn't my achievement," he said. "This was all of us recognizing that reliability isn't just a maintenance issue. It's how we run our business." As the meeting concluded, Miguel approached John with a smile. "You know, we got the best equipment reliability numbers in the company now. The other plants are asking, what is the secret?" John laughed. "There's no secret. Just respecting the machines like people. Now, regular care, not just attention when they're broken." You think about that. Facilities are able to maintain costs by 20% after implementing proper scheduling practices. 28%. If you think about every dollar invested in proactive, scheduled maintenance typically costs 3 to 5 in reactive maintenance cost. So what is the cost of poor maintenance? And feel free to put it in the chat. But if you've been a part of a situation like this, give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you think about it, organizations typically lose 5 and 20%. It's a big gap, but the productivity capabilities due to inefficient maintenance scheduling. You think about it in the US, $50 billion a year annually is just spent in unplanned downtime cost. That's equating to anywhere from 10 to 40% in wrench time. So you think about craftsmen, mechanics, time on tools, and efficiencies. And I argue if they're not measuring it, it's probably not in the 40s. It's probably less than that. But you have the financial impacts. Emergency parts, they often cost anywhere from 30 to 50% more expensive. Labor inefficiencies, running in overtime, 1.5 to 2% more of regular wages that were expected. Loss of productivity. You can't produce if you're not running. And then you're also creating a shortened equipment lifespan due to reactive preventive maintenance. And then, of course, the added threat of safety instances. So the cause of these is often due to particularly scheduling. You've got a lack of standardized processes, inadequate data or decision-making. There's communication between operations and maintenance are not clear. Ineffective prioritization systems. And there's many others that can go into it. But if you start to understand some of the maintenance scheduling fundamentals, it's around defining the scope of the schedule. What needs to be done and how. Some of the key components that drive the scheduling process is the work order prioritization. Is there one? Does it exist? Creating criticality codes, resource availability. Where are the craftsmen available? What are their capabilities? When are the crafts or the contractors, parts, tools, equipment, etc.? The time allocations to do the work. The sequence optimization. When they're going out there, are those needed actually there, need to be on time? But also, there's also a planning and scheduling relationship. Now, in a lot of cases, many of these your organizations, a planner and scheduler might be a dual role. Large organizations, there might be a dedicated one. But if we're just looking at the scheduling today, as it is a big piece of pie that goes into the work management, um, and encouraging you that as we go through, what can you do to learn more about it? Understanding why quality planning is a prerequisite to effective scheduling. It's understanding who the stakeholders are, the maintenance supervisors, the planners, the schedulers, storeroom, craftsmen, the management team, and understanding the schedules and maturity levels. What is the model? What do you have a CMMS system? Do you have different levels of what is reactive versus world class? What is needed? What you're looking at here is the 5 pillars of effective maintenance scheduling. And these slides are the framework of the introduction, what goes into a scheduling structure. And just for a deeper look of it, we'll go through each 5 of these very quickly. But for the purpose of the framework is to understand each of these pillars represent a structure to it. While it may be called one does not mean it's more prior than others, but having a work identification and prioritization, ensuring they have the right work at the right time. The key principles. Not all maintenance work has equal importance. Not all maintenance work has equal importance. And then, these are things that we'll examine, proven priorities, frameworks throughout the next slides. But the next one is resource management, having the right resources available when needed. This one, a scheduler job, becomes a little bit uneasy when not knowing the craftsman's capabilities and how long they can be working on that. Schedule effectiveness depends on the resource availability's certainty to get it done. Time management. What is the right duration of sequencing? Time estimating accuracy directly impacts the schedule's reliability. Think about the work sequences, optimization, how do you maximize productivity? And the 4th is schedule compliance, the right execution discipline. One of those easily said than easily executed. Without compliance measurement, scheduling becomes optional. And the 5th one, is how we're continually improve upon it, the continuous improvement aspect of it. Having the right learning process, cycling it through, continuing to learn from it. So work identification prioritization, the conceptual foundation. The effective scheduling begins with proper work selection, having the right prioritization, right scoping, right sufficient completion of work. Understanding what is critical versus what is non-critical classifications. What can be moved? What needs to be done today? And then have an outline. What is considered an emergency work? What is discretionary? And then fill in those gaps between the schedules. Resource management. This is the people planning part of it. And this is the resource constraints. You've got a schedule ready. Are all the resources identified and confirmed available? As a manager, as a supervisor, do you identify when there's a scheduling gap or you see those opportunities? Different ways of labor resource allocation strategies is capacity planning foundations. You understand that schedules, you typically load, depending on the maturity of your organization, 80 to 85%. If you're somewhat still reactive, you're leaving a little bit of fluff room. If you're well disciplined, yeah, you're scoping it out to 100%. But understanding that if you're just starting your journey to that, please do not load your schedule to it. Make something that's reasonable, create goals that are attainable. Skills matrix development. This is dealing with the resources on it. Having the right skills inventory or the skills inventory of the maintenance personnel. Do they do the right work that they be doing? Time scoping. What are the skill gaps? Cross training opportunities. Where do those fall in? Crew-based analysis. How well do they work together? Material and time management. This goes into a lot of what goes into work management, and often it's not even a part of the scheduling, but it plays an important part, especially when you talk about kitting, critical spares, specialty tools, contractor needs. Time management, the third pillar. On average, wrench time is between 25 and 35%. And this is typically if it's not being managed or it's not being checked. Think about world class in between 55 and 65%. How do you get there? You think about having annual and quarterly schedules, your long range, your turnaround projects, bigger things, weekly, mid range, and your short range, your daily. But how do you build those time estimations? Historical data, time-based estimation, subject matter experts, and defining where those critical parts or critical pieces of equipment are. Scheduling compliance. Without compliance measurement, scheduling becomes optional. Scheduling breaks should be exceptional, requiring formal approval. And you look at this and where should there could be additional schedule breaks? But the fifth, and honestly probably my favorite, is the continuous improvement part. You set, but don't forget. You look at these core performance metrics. What are you measuring? What are you measuring to? What are you measuring to fix? What analytic tools do you have? What resources do you have available? Are you having a post-schedule review process? Are you looking at a consistency? Are you assigning root cause analysis? Are you building upon that knowledge? Creating a culture of continuous improvement is continual effort. Applying lean practices, PDCA cycles, Kaizen events, understanding what Industry 4.0 and the digital transformation of how innovation can help support your organization. So I share with you the 5 pillars. And they're called the 5 pillars because not everyone can support without the other. So I encourage you, take a moment, put in the chat, where do you think your opportunities lie? Everyone's got reasons to improve. But share your thoughts, what pillar opportunities you think you might have. So when you come down to it, it comes down to return on investment, the cost that goes into it, the conceptual foundation. Maintenance scheduling is an investment for delivers quantifiable returns. It can be measured, but it offers both a cost reduction and a revenue enhancement. You look at the case study of John. John, the general manager, he created, he began to create a culture that prioritizes the downtime as a key figure to it. Excuse me. Scheduling can drive some of the labor productivity improvements. Going from 25 to 35 to 45 to 55 can happen with proper scheduling. You think about a mid-sized chemical plant, increase wrench time by 18%. Often the annual maintenance labor cost is just under $1 million. Overtime reduction, 25 to 35%. Being more predictable in what we're doing. And increase equipment availability. Present data collecting schedules. You know, typically we talked about reducing some of the downtime, but it also increases some of the overall equipment effectiveness between 2 and 5%. You think about an oil refinery, increasing productivity equipment by 3.2% through improved maintenance scheduling. Didn't you talk planning? You can generate an additional 4.2 million in annual production revenue. Now that can pay for a lot. But you think about before and after matrix, maintenance cost matrix, operating performance matrix, business impact. These are all important things that can drive process improvement. So understand a typical implementation time frame. How long does this take? John took 3 months before he saw the results. Now, that's pretty good, but I think many of you argue that it might take even longer than that. You start with your quick wins, 1 to 3 months. You know, I like to think about an apple tree. An apple tree is got full of apples, but when you start picking the apples, you usually start from the ground looking for the good ones. These are the easy ones. And then from there, you start picking the low shrubs. And then from there, you start picking the bigger ones. Think about the quick wins as your low projects that are on the ground. Things that can be done in relatively short time. And you continue to pick at it. Then you move into your medium term gains. Think about your resource leveling, backlog prioritization, emergency work reduction. And then finally building a full implementation. Implementing a planning and scheduling system that is autonomous, meaning that you may not need managers there all the time. It's running by itself. It has a continuous improvement framework. And then move into a world-class achievement. Anywhere from 1 to 2 years. This is a full cultural transformation. You know, you can often, organizations see as expected benefits between 30 and 50% improvement from the baseline. There's different return on investment calculations examples, but it's always important to have a good baseline of where you're starting at. But there's also, when you talk about the financial, there's also the non-financial benefits: improved work safety, enhanced regulatory compliance, reduced environmental incidents, improved workforce morale and retention, better cross-functional collaboration. I'm giving you just a brief review of this and how these things can be brought. Mention some of the specialty tools provided in this masterclass that I'm going to be sharing with you in a moment. I reference different case studies that I've shared that will become forth only my in-person events, and offering benchmarking opportunities for all the attendees. So as we're talking about scheduling, there's also planning. And I'm offering 3 different master classes over this course. And the first one is a CMRP prep. A lot of individuals interested in understanding what the certification offers and what it brings. Now, a little bit does talk about work management, but it also talks about the different bodies of knowledge. And then what we're talking about today is our master classes. One I'm going to be hosting in Houston in June and Dubai in September. And while a lot of these classes may fill up relatively quickly, those of you on the call today, I'm offering a 50% discount for the first 5 registries. And in this class, you can expect to have an interactive event, walking around and developing the tangible actions to improve your work management process, walking with deliverables that your organizations use to implement processes and effectiveness as soon as you can. These classes, while Dubai will be coming soon and information will be shared out as it becomes available. I encourage you to attend these things because as we work with scheduling and planning, the tangible measurables can often be paid for in one of these events. So if you haven't, um, I'm going to be offering a copy of my book, which is the maintenance planning and control. And if you're able to fill out this survey, uh, Jennifer and I will be doing a raffle, and be giving this book out to you. And this survey is very quick and just understanding, what are the areas that you think you can benefit or your organization can benefit on. But like I started this presentation, if you can't attend the community or the event, please join the community. And at the very least, we host a podcast once a week. It's called Factory of the Future. And it goes into the insights on some of the challenges and learnings that goes into some of the technical automations between smart factories today. Okay. So I put a lot of information out there. I wanted us to devote the remainder of time if there are particular questions that you might have regarding scheduling or opportunities for our communities and our master classes events. So if you feel free, you can come off of mute and ask. If not, we will have this meeting recorded. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. And like I said, we've got 2 promo codes for this event that we're hosting. One is being virtual and one is a master class that will be done in a very lavish place in Houston. The virtual event, we've got a $200 promo, and we've got an acting right now for 50% off on our masterclass that will be in Houston. I'm just going to look through the chat here. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi,
Ahmed?
Schultz. Hi. This is Ahmed Bashir from Canada. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to hear you
It's,
again.
yeah, it's a good. Just a quick one on your book. Firstly, I'm trying to click it, but it's going somewhere else. I mean, it's saying error. This Google, the link which he has sent, Jennifer has sent. Uh, that's
Okay.
for
Well, we'll be sure to send out another link that
okay.
we'll check to make sure.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes when I build these things, I tend to make some errors.
No
Uh,
issue.
but it can also be found on Amazon if you do a look
Yeah,
for
yeah, it's
A.W.
okay.
Schultz.
No, no, I'll take. Uh, Secondly, thanks a lot. It's as usual very informative, and the Houston ones look very attractive. And plus, this virtual idea is good because that gives option for independent of geographical area. And Dubai is again quite attractive because it's a place where everyone is there. I have been in Dubai for nearly 20 years. I know it's a very vibrant market.
It
So
is.
all the good luck for you and very informative. The example which you give in the morning, in the starting the bio, is nearly story of most of these maintenance companies or these manufacturing people. So it's very true. I fully agree with it. So all the best.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ahmed, and thanks for those words. Ahmed is a lubrication specialist, and what I find is probably one of the subject matters in the industry. So I'm always glad to hear his feedback when possible.
Thanks, Schultz.
All right. So if we're looking at this, and like I said, you can always email or check out our website. And if there's any problems, you can also look at us to LinkedIn directly. But this is a short exercise into scheduling, and certainly we can't um, go through it all. But through our courses, we're going to be going into a more elaborate, in-depth conversation about planning and scheduling. It's been a topic that I've been uh, training throughout Africa and the U.S. over the last 2 years, and it's something I enjoy more than anything because it brings in-depth conversations, and it's just not the manufacturing communities. I throughout my visits to Africa, I had the ability to work for a company that specialized in uh, gasoline distribution, supply chain, and general electricity. And it was phenomenal how many of the practices remain the same and the relationships that they all kind of carry. So with that, I'm gonna stop recording and we'll share out this this presentation.